and welcome back to my channel, Fictional Latitude. I'm Deborah, and today, because I'm about to go off on my travels to London, I am going to bring you my favourite travel books. And we've got a real issue with the light. I'm stood up in order to get the light right, but we've got lots of cloud movement today. So anyway, let's get on before we lose the light completely. So, as I say, my favourite travel books, or maybe not just about travel, about explorers. Anyway, let's get on with it and we'll see. My first one is Rory Stewart, The Places in Between. Now, those of you who are in the UK may well know about Rory Stewart. He was a Conservative MP up in Penrith, and he also campaigned for London Mayor for a while. And before that, he was in the Foreign Office and diplomatic service and what have you. Anyway, he has been likened to a modern T. Lawrence, so whether he likes that moniker or not, I'm not entirely sure. But this book is about when he walked, and yes, he walked across Afghanistan during the winter of 2002. Why? Well, why, he explains. He is a walker. He walks everywhere. And in this, he took the most difficult route, essentially, across Afghanistan. And it was just him, on his own, walking. And obviously he had to rely on the goodwill of the people en route so that he could have shelter and food and what have you. And on the way, he got a companion, a toothless, four-legged companion, whom he named Babur. And Babur is named after the Mughal emperor whose route Stewart was following. So this book basically talks about that walk, and it's not so much the writing as what he did that's so intriguing and interesting and inspiring. So that's why this is my number one. It's not my number one, it's one of my favourite travel books. And as the Guardian say on the bottom of here, Stewart is so far off the beaten track that his evocative book feels like a long-lost relic of the great age of exploration. And, I mean, why would anyone in their right mind walk across Afghanistan in the winter? Not even like it was in the summer. Okay, and my next book is The Wilder Shores of Love by Lesley Blanch. And this looks at four Western women and their love for the East or Arabic culture. And the four women, this book basically got me interested in women explorers and women travellers. I was never much of a feminist when I was younger. Excuse me. I wouldn't say I'm that feminist now. I'm bolshy. But I wouldn't say I'm a feminist. Anyway, I digress. So this really got me interested more in the women who are travelling and exploring and the things that they did. So there are four women in here. They're Amy Dubuc de Rivery, and she was a convent girl who was captured by corsairs and sold into the harem of the Grand Turk. Well, that's an opener, isn't it? Then we have Lady Ellenborough, who tired of London life. So she went off to Athens, and then from Athens she ended up in the Syrian tent of Sheikh, hang on, I've got to read this, Medjool El Mezrab. So that's not your normal place for an English lady to end up. Then we have Isabelle Burton, who was the wife of the explorer Richard Burton. And basically her husband's love of the East became her passion. And even after he died and she was going through his writings, and she was like a secretary editor of his work, she just became as passionate about the East as Richard Burton did, not the Welsh actor, all right? And then we have Isabelle Eberhardt, who was French, and she was a transvestite and linguist. Her story was never going to end well, got to be said. But I'll talk about her in a minute because she comes up again. But these women were inspiring. They're 19th century women who basically put two fingers up to the Western society and said, "Do you know what? I'm off. I'm going to go and make my own way in the world, and I'm going east to do it." And it's just so fascinating how they broke the mould. So I really like that one. So from that, I followed on with the Passionate Nomad, Diaries of Isabelle Eberhardt. Well, I mean, clearly abridged diaries. And, well, this one, as I say, she was never going to make old bones, this one. She was somebody who made people feel very strongly about her, whether that was good or bad. And she basically said, "Right, bye France," and toddled off to North Africa, where she converted to Islam, and she travelled the Sahara on horseback, dressed as a man. She did marry. She was married to Slimane. He was her constant. And she was a writer, always looking for inspiration, not always getting it. I mean, from her diary, you find, I think, quite a sad lady. I'm in a lot, sorry. She loved the desert, and she really came to understand it as much as you can if you're not born in the desert and to a nomadic life. But she went all out on it. She was absolutely fascinated by it. And she was fascinated by death, because she had a near miss one time. But as I say, she did not make old bones, because at the age of 27 in the desert, she died in a flash flood, which kind of sums her up, really. So, but it's translated from the French, the diaries. I mean, she spoke Arabic fluently, and she just immersed herself in the life and culture. It's really good insight into that. Then next, another woman. We have Gertrude Bell. It's a woman in Arabia, the writings of the Queen of the Desert. Now, she has also been likened to T.E. Lawrence as like the female version of T.E. Lawrence. She was very, very much involved in the British work in carving up the Middle East. What we might look back on now and go, well, that was a complete and utter balls up. But in it she was. But it wasn't because she didn't like the Arabs. She did. She was very passionate about the Arab way of life. And she became close friends in the end with the King of Iraq, because Iraq was really where she came to the fore. And T.E. Lawrence, she did work with T.E. Lawrence, and he said, I don't think, what did he say? It's on the back here somewhere. I don't think I ever met anyone more entirely civilised in the sense of her width of intellectual sympathy. She was everything, this woman. She's just incredible. What she didn't do. She was a mountaineer. She climbed some of the highest peaks. Well, I think she did climb the highest peaks in Europe, often taking the most dangerous route. And of course, because of the time that it was, she wasn't dressed as the men would have been, because, you know, that's propriety. You've got to wear a skirt. Yeah, of course you do when you're legging it up a mountain. But anyway, she was an archaeologist, she was an Arabist, a writer, a poet, a linguist, and a spy. And as I say, she helped to draw up the borders of what we recognise as the Middle East today. But in the end, she sort of settled in Iraq, and she was running the new Museum of Iraq, you know, this is where her archaeology was coming in. And essentially, it was too boring for her. And so the light went out. We're going to go up a notch now. And I have lost this book and I can't believe it. And it's humour and it's Bill Bryson's Notes from a Small Island. I'm annoyed that I've lost this book. I've got just about every other Bill Bryson book all over the place. Can I find this one? No. So this isn't on the list so much because it's groundbreaking or he set the world alight with his travels or anything like that. This is one more of a personal and emotional book. It was a favourite of mine and one of my dearest friends who sadly is no longer with us. And we used to literally be rolling around on the floor crying with laughter when we would quote various bits from Notes from a Small Island. Mainly the toilet humour, I think. The first bit. But yeah, counterpanes and floaters. Anyway. So yeah, Bryson wrote this in the early 90s, I think. And he just before he was going back to the States, having lived in the UK for a while, and he basically went on a little emotional tour of the country, and it's an insight into the nation's psyche. For example, why we go, oh, lovely, when we see a cup of tea and a plate of biscuits. Because that's just who we are. So, Bill Bryson's Notes from a Small Island, which I'll probably put here, yeah, is just one that is good for... You don't take it too seriously. I've seen a lot of reviews about this book, where people go, oh, he's this and he's that, and he thinks he's something special, and I think people have missed the point. maybe they're getting a little protective over their Britishness, but it is amusing, and that's why it's one of my favourite travel books. So they're my 5 favourite travel books, and I'm going to be toddling off to London, which I think I've probably mentioned in every video in the last couple of weeks, because I'm getting excited. And I will take you with me. I will be vlogging from London as I dive into just about every shop that's got a book in the window, and we're going to the British Library, and we're going to the County Library. There might be afternoon tea involved in that one. So yeah, I shall see you soon, and thank you for watching the video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and like, so that I can try and get a few more people following me, and we can make something of this channel and I'm not just talking to myself. That would be really nice. And I hope to see you again soon. Thanks, bye.